Hey everyone, today we'll be going over one of the most popular jungle routes that we're seeing in Korean Challenger. It was used in the World Championship final by the jungler IG Ning to get first blood in the second game against Fnatic. In Korean Challenger, it's being used most notably by Tarzan, the current rank 1 in Korea, and whose games we'll be going over today. The route we'll be teaching you is for junglers that take the Predator rune, such as Hecarim, Gragas, Skarner, or Olaf. Don't worry if you don't play these champions, as you'll learn how the route works and how to deal with it. This path alone is responsible for Hecarim going from the 22nd most picked jungler to the 6th most in the past month. Alright, enough hyping it up, let's jump into it. Here's the path. We start at red buff, then do Raptors, and then Krugs. After Krugs, we recall back to base. That's right, you didn't hear me wrong, we're recalling that early. Once in base, we purchase boots and a pink ward, and then head back onto the map towards our blue. After finishing our blue, we'll look to hit a disgustingly strong gank with our Predator boots active. The early recall is just the start of some of the cool features of this route. Another unique thing about this opener is that you can do it without a leash, simply starting Raptors instead of red. Leashless openers have two main benefits. Firstly, it can be great to do if your teammates are strong lane bullies, allowing them to assert early control since they don't have to arrive late in lane. On the other hand, it can hide what side of the map you started on since your starting location is often revealed by those teammates arriving late to lane in the first place. However, if your teammates can't really push that early advantage, then getting a leash can be beneficial since it speeds up your overall clear. Alright, enough overview. Let's jump into a replay of rank 1 Korean jungler Tarzan and break down exactly how this works and what makes it so powerful. To start the game off, Tarzan puts down a standard ward in the Pixel Brush. I'm sure as many of you know, it protects both him and his mid laner from any early cheese on that side of the map and can spot the enemy jungler taking scuttle. After placing the ward, he moves to his red to start the route. At this time, Alistar wards the Pixel Brush on the bot side of the map. This is extremely important as you'll need this ward to protect yourself from an invade on your blue buff. And don't worry, we'll be explaining exactly what to do if someone does invade you later on in this video. Now some of you might be thinking to yourself, there's no way my teammates will ward that brush for me. If you're asking your teammates to ward it and they consistently aren't, then simply ward it yourself at 1 minute and 5 seconds and then run to your red. Don't worry, you'll make it back to your camps in time. Having a ward on the opposite side you start on is more valuable in this route since your blue is vulnerable to being stolen. Again, we'll be covering this more later on in this video. So Tarzan starts the beginning of the route with a leash on his red, then does Raptors, and moves to Krugs next. Some of you may be wondering when exactly you use Smite in this route, which is a great question. We hold on to our Smite until the Krug camp, and there's two reasons for this. Firstly, it lets us have our Smite available to quickly secure camps if you get invaded early on. Secondly, by saving the Smite for the ancient Krug, we kill it faster. This is good because it makes it divide into the two medium Krugs faster as well. This lets us use AoE abilities, which every Predator jungler has, to kill the medium Krugs earlier, overall increasing our clear speed. We hit level 3 off this third camp instead of the usual 4 camps because Krugs gives us so much experience. After Krugs, we begin what looks to be far too early of a recall, while in reality, this is exactly what makes this route so strong. You will now have exactly enough gold to buy both Boots of Speed and a pink ward. And for those of you who don't know, the Predator rune not only gives you a huge movement speed buff when activated, but it also does damage on your next attack or damaging ability, which scales based on level. At level 3, it will do 74 bonus damage, which is actually an insane amount. To put it into perspective, Electrocute does 48 at level 3 and Dark Harvest will on average do 32. So now you can start to see how by getting these early boots to unlock your Predator rune, not only will your ganks be more successful because of the increased movement speed, but you'll also hit like a truck. The next standard part of the route is to secure your blue buff, which will help with any mana issues and give you a small CDR boost. You can see how being level 3 with Predator boots would shut down any attempt at invading us at this time. Now, there's something very important that happens at the 2 minute and 50 second mark. What do you think it is? 2 minutes and 50 seconds is when the early Pixel Brush wards everyone puts down will expire. This is yet another bonus to this route since your ganks will hit after those early wards expire. This causes a lot of mid laners to be pushed up with a false sense of security and easily gankable. Now when you arrive at your blue, your second Smite charge will be coming off cooldown. We'll be using this Smite to top our health back up to full and making sure we secure blue from any kind of steal attempt, so don't use your Smite too early on this camp. Alright, so Tarzan is now level 3, has double buffs, Predator boots, and a pink ward. This is the timing window that the route creates, and he's now transitioning into the second half of the strategy, finding a lane to gank. This creates an obvious question: how does Tarzan know whether to gank mid, bot, or go back to farming his camps? Well, bot lane is pushed, and so there isn't really a gank available. However, some of you might be worried that they would be ganked by the enemy jungler since they lack vision. Here's the cool thing: with Hecarim E, Ghost, and Predator boots, he can actually react relatively fast to a gank bot, meaning that while he's killing Scuttle, he's actually both threatening a gank mid and a counter gank bot at the same time. This is a unique advantage Predator junglers have due to the movement speed buff. Now, if we take a look at mid lane, it's pushed towards his side of the map. He also has a Lissandra, which has both mobility and CC. On top of that, the enemy mid is Zoe, which is squishy and doesn't have an escape tool early on other than Flash. It's for these reasons he's able to find a lane to gank and complete the second half of the strategy. The first thing he does next is hit the Scryer's Bloom towards the mid lane. The direction he hits it in is actually quite precise, as it's revealing the pixel brush, the mid lane brush, and the tip of the brush behind the enemy red. This basically covers every single area that a mid laner can ward to protect himself from a jungle gank. He then begins to kill Scuttle, pushing it towards mid and away from bot. This is because he knows there's no wards around mid to spot him, and it's also towards the direction he wants to move. After finishing the Scuttle, Tarzan places a pink ward and moves into this brush. I think this really highlights an integral part of the strategy that people might miss. By recalling so early and being able to get a pink ward, we're able to use it to set up our ganks by guaranteeing that the enemy can't see us. Tarzan continues waiting, and some of you might be thinking this is a bit strange, considering Zoe is missing from mid lane. This is actually a real heads up play by the Zoe. Even though the minions are in lane, she's hiding in the fog of war, pretending like she recalled. She'll wait until the last possible moment that a minion gets low on health, and then move up to last hit. A clever attempt at dissuading Tarzan from ganking her, and definitely would have worked on a lesser jungler. Tarzan's patience pays off, and Zoe walks back into lane to last hit the minions. He goes early, as it takes 2 seconds for it to reach its maximum movement speed. He also activates his Predator boots. You should be aware that when you activate them, it puts an icon over any enemy's head that's nearby. For this reason, try not to activate them too early, as it can scare off the enemy you're trying to gank. He then puts on his dancing shoes and makes a nice sidestep on Zoe's E ability. Unleashing the full power of this opener, he bursts Zoe to half HP. That's insane considering she was near full health and used barrier. He then helps Lissandra push the wave into the tower, putting himself further ahead and Zoe further behind. Now some of you might be wondering, what do you do if there's no gank available after the blue buff? This is what's so versatile and consistent about this route. You get the option of hitting a really strong gank timing after your blue buff, but if it's not available, you can then opt into super efficient farming. After checking if Scuttle is up, you clear Gromp and then do Wolves. Now here's what's really cool. Because we cleared the red side of our jungle all at once, really early, after we're done Wolves, our Raptors will spawn. And guess what? After we clear Raptors, our Krugs will spawn. This lets us fall back into power farming for level 6 if no ganks are available. Very few other routes offer such versatility. Okay, this is starting to sound like a bulletproof strategy that has absolutely no flaws, so let's talk about the weaknesses and how to deal with them. Well, since we're going to be farming the entirety of the red side of our jungle, we won't get to our blue until the 3-minute mark. This leaves 2 main weaknesses early on. Firstly, we can't respond to any early ganks. And secondly, the blue quadrant is vulnerable to being counter jungled. So let's jump into a replay of exactly that. Tarzan's blue quadrant being invaded by an early game jungler, Lee Sin, who then ganks aggressively. So Tarzan starts at his Raptors instead of his red since he's not getting a leash, which as we mentioned earlier in the video is perfectly fine. Once again highlighting the adaptability of this opener. Rakan places the Pixel Brush ward on the opposite side of the map, which as we're going to see is absolutely necessary to deal with invades. Tarzan continues the route as usual, moving to his red buff. And now we see why the Pixel Brush ward is so important. Tarzan spots Lee Sin moving to the Scuttle in the river. This usually happens at the 150 to 155 mark, so at that time pay attention to this area. Whenever it's this early in the game and a jungler moves through this ward, always assume he's invading your blue. This is because even if he just does Scuttle and then rotates to the other side of the map, you'll see him move back through the pixel ward, letting you know he didn't steal your blue. Even though Tarzan's blue is warded, it really isn't necessary. All you need is the Pixel Brush ward. So what do you do if your blue is being invaded? You need to respond by invading the enemy blue as fast as possible. This is why Tarzan smites his red. It's to get him there faster. We also see him going through the top brush instead of the ramp near mid lane. This is for two reasons. Firstly, you avoid the enemy pixel brush ward spotting you. Secondly, if the enemy jungler is just doing scuttle and then rotating back to his own blue, you can simply turn around and move back to your Krugs and continue with the route as normal. Anyways, Tarzan skips scuttle since the priority is securing that blue buff. Lee Sin gets spotted again in the pixel ward. Tarzan's going to be paying close attention to see if Lee Sin is moving to the side of the map. As we can see, Lee Sin doesn't and is now committing to the bot side of the map. This is what analysts refer to as vertical jungling. Vertical jungling is easy to understand. To visualize it, just draw a line through mid lane. In this example, Hecarim gets the top side of the map and Lee Sin gets the bot side of the map. This is the opposite of the standard horizontal jungling everyone is used to, which can be visualized if you draw a line through the river, where junglers have access to both top and bot quadrants of their own jungles. The key idea here behind vertical jungling is that you're assuming all your camps are taken on the other side of the map, so there's no point of going there. Instead, you're treating the enemy camps like your own. After clearing blue, Tarzan does scuttle. This is just a heal off of it since it doesn't do damage back to him. He sees Gangplank completely overextended top and commits to the free kill. Otherwise, he would have just stolen the enemy's Gromp and Wolves. After killing Gangplank, he helps Sion push the wave and then goes to clear his Krugs. Then he sees Lee Sin gank bot. So what do you think he should do? Again, the map has been split in half vertically, so he simply moves into the enemy jungle to steal his Gromp and Wolves. So to summarize, when your blue gets invaded, then you need to respond by invading their blue, splitting the map in half vertically. In this way, for every camp the enemy steals, you steal one back for yourself. At the same time, you're able to match aggressive early ganks by the enemy with ganks of your own on the side of the map you control. Alright, before we end the video, let's quickly talk about 3 things you can do to shut down this strategy. First, you can try to land an early gank before the 3-minute mark, as there's no way for the enemy jungler to respond to it. Second, try starting red and then invading their blue to steal it. However, go through the side lane tri-brush instead of through the ramp near mid. This way, the pixel brush ward won't spot you and they won't respond by invading your own blue buff. Lastly, be aware of the 3-minute and 15-second timing window. This is when they finish blue and are looking to gank. You can backping teammates that are overextended, counter gank if possible, or you can look for counterplay on the other side of the map. We covered a lot in this video, so let's briefly recap. We begin our route by farming the entirety of the red side of our jungle. Once finished, we then recall back to base. We purchase boots to give us access to our Predator rune, as well as a pink ward, and then head to our blue. After killing blue, we look to gank with our Predator boots active, while simultaneously using our early pink ward to control vision. If no ganks are available, we can easily transition back into efficiently farming. That being said, the main vulnerability of this route is having our blue invaded before we can get to that side of the map. However, as long as we spot the invade with a standard pixel brush ward, we're able to equalize by invading the enemy's jungle. If you're playing against this strategy, try ganking early, invading through the side lane tri-brush, and being aware of the 3-minute and 15-second mark. That's going to be it for this video. We hope you enjoyed it, and good luck and have fun on Summoner's Rift.